Doc Talk is brought to you by Merck Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.
Hey folks, welcome to Doc Talk. We're going to have a great show today. We got Dr. Steve Ensley here from Kansas State University. He's going to talk about liver biopsies in cows and how you can use that to determine vitamin and mineral status of your cow herd.
As dependable as the sunrise, in dairy parlors, open pastures, on ranches and feed yards across America. A place where reputation is more than a name, where the science of healthier animals is a way of life. It's the responsibility that drives who we are and what we do. Every decision, every day. It's your livelihood and our responsibility.
Closed captioning brought to you by Vet Gun with Amel and new AMA Abamectin Vet Caps, the 1-2 punch against hornfly resistance from AgriLabs.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, welcome to Doc Talk. Dr. Ensley,
Hello.
welcome here. Welcome home. We now have Dr. Steve Ensley. Y'all have seen him on the show when he was with Iowa State, and we're pretty proud to bring you back home to Kansas and K-State.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. Iowa State's a great place. We had a really great lab. I still send samples there. We do a lot of good work there, but I get the chance to build a lab here in K-State, and I'm excited about that. So.
And you have maybe some other reasons.
Oh, yeah.
Here, got
Oh,
some
yeah.
grandkids
Right.
and things like that,
Right.
and so anyway, it's great to have you here. And folks, this is Dr. Steve Ensley, and he's a toxicologist here at Kansas State University at the College of Veterinary Medicine, and does a lot of good work on cattle toxicology of all species, but obviously I'm a little bit biased to some of the work that we do on the bovine. And today we're going to discuss something that you've been doing quite a bit of as of late, and is liver biopsies.
Right. We were interested in trying to determine mineral status in cattle, and we have a lab at Iowa State. We do a lot of work. We have the instrumentation in order to do the analysis, and nutritionally we saw a lot of issues that we felt like were related to mineral or vitamin nutrition. So the liver biopsy is one way that we can collect a sample, very accurate sample, do an analysis on the liver, look for minerals, and it gives us exactly the status of the animal, tells us exactly what your nutritional program is doing, and is a great tool, non-invasive, doesn't hurt the animals, and is a great sample that we can use.
Well, you're going to demonstrate one on me, right?
Right. So we thought we'd do one on Dan, but maybe not. So
We don't have the IACUC approval for it, but this is your tool.
So this is my tool. It's actually a 16 gauge needle that we use, and so you can see how small it is. It's got black marks along the instrument that tell you centimeters. So we even though this is a 7 centimeter piece of equipment, we only go into the animal maybe 3 or 4 centimeters to collect our piece we want. And you can see it's about the size of a 16 gauge needle, and then the sample that we get is about the size of a pencil lead. At the very end of the biopsy instrument, there's an open area where we collect a piece of liver about half an inch long, about the size of a pencil lead. So it's very minimally invasive. We do a lidocaine block on the side of the animal, and then take our piece of liver biopsy, bring it out, put it in a tube, take it back to the lab, and we can tell you exactly what the mineral status of that animal is.
How many of those can you run? I mean, can
So-
you keep up with pretty much
So
working cows?
so 2 weeks ago we had a student, senior student, and we went out and I showed him Max Beal.
Yeah.
I showed him how to do the first one. I showed him the landmarks. The first time he's done it, he did that animal, then 11 more animals in about an hour with no problem. He got every animal the first time. We got our sample that we wanted, and he did a great job. The only problem with Max is he's going to move back to California. He's not staying in Kansas.
We need to keep him around.
We need to.
Well, let's take a break. Folks, this is a pretty simple tool. Working with your veterinarian, working with your toxicologist to get this done. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about why we do them and what we can do after we find some results.
Right, sounds good.
All right, thanks for watching Doc Talk. More after these messages. Thanks for joining me today for Boehringer Ingelheim's Cattle First. When we start to think about labels that are on bottles of antibiotics, it's extremely important that we follow them. The first thing that's on the label, what species is this indicated for? So it might be for cattle, for horses, for dogs, or cats. Once we understand the species that these products are labeled for, what's the indication? Bovine respiratory disease. Could it be for foot rot? There's a list of species, indications. After that, what's the dosage, what's the route of administration, and then what's the withdrawal time, or the time in which it's safe to take an animal to slaughter from the time in which the animal was last treated until that animal was slaughtered. So, species, indication, dosage, route of administration, withdrawal. All of these are important components on a label, so make sure that you follow them and use antibiotics judiciously. Boehringer Ingelheim's Cattle First.
When it comes to stopping hornflies, cattlemen love their vet gun. Today they love it even more because Vet Gun now has a 1-2 punch with 2 VetCap insecticides. New AIM-A abamectin can be used in rotation with AIM-L for effective in-season control. Each delivers a unique mode of action to manage hornfly resistance. So start your in-season rotation program with AIM-L and new AIM-A abamectin VetCaps from AgriLabs.
When you're in the cattle business, no matter how much it's a business, it still starts with cattle. It's this basic notion that sits at the core of how we approach things at Boehringer Ingelheim. We understand when you put the cattle first, it just naturally leads to doing the right things. If you want to do well in this business, you start by doing right. Take care of the cattle, and they'll take care of you.
This segment brought to you by the new Hired Hand Portable Cow Sprayer. For more information, visit cowsprayer.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thompson here with Dr. Steve Ensley, and we're at Kansas State University at the College of Veterinary Medicine, where Dr. Ensley is our lead toxicologist here, and you're in the Department of Anatomy and Physiology, but you're also part of our diagnostic laboratory where samples are sent and you do a lot of case workups, right?
Right. My main interest is really service, so I'm really interested in doing toxicology. So when we have animals die that don't die from an infectious cause, then I get to be involved in those cases. So.
Gotcha. So talk to me a little bit about why we're seeing the use of this liver biopsy tool.
So a lot of it really goes back to the equipment that it takes to do the analysis. The equipment, the machines that we use are very expensive, and the technology really has been available maybe for the last 10 years. And so At Iowa State, we had three these ICP mass spec machines because we did a lot of liver biopsy samples. At Manhattan, we have one, and as we get busier, I'm sure we'll use more. But it's been a real good tool to look at how nutrition is involved in how animals respond to normal challenge or how they respond to vaccines. When we see issues where they don't respond or can't seem to get over an illness, we want to know, is nutrition involved in that? And so with the sampling that we can do, the very easy sampling from a liver sample, because we can't use, for many of these minerals like copper specifically, we can't use serum, so there's really no other sample other than a liver that will tell us what we need to know. And so the liver biopsy is the only way to get the sample that we need.
So do you generally do like a panel then of minerals and I assume vitamins?
Right. Well, so the minerals, the machine we use will look at 26 different minerals, and we can look at all 26 of those all at one time. That's the beauty of these machines. With one sample, they'll do, it takes about a minute to run 26 minerals, and it used to be we'd have to do those one at a time, and now we can do them very rapidly. We have an auto sampler on the machine. We load our samples, and the machine runs and can do these analysis very quickly and do a lot of minerals at once. But so the panel I use, there's for the livers that I have, there's about 13 minerals that I'm interested in. Those are the ones that I have on my liver panel that we look at, and I feel like they give us a really good handle on what the nutritional status is of the animals. And we can look at more. I mean, if you have a specific interest, there's other things we can look at, but for our basic trace mineral panel, there's about 13 minerals that I'm interested in.
Okay. And then when with vitamins, do you do those too?
So vitamins are still an issue. The piece of liver that we get is small enough we can't do vitamin analysis with yet. We're still trying to work on methods to maybe do that in the future. But so right now, if we're interested in vitamins, and they're important also because we see those as issues, we need a serum sample. So if we're going to do a liver biopsy, we'll take 1 ml of serum, and we'll take our liver biopsy, and with those two samples that we have, we can look at vitamins and minerals all at the same time.
Perfect. Well, we know how it's done, and we know now why it's done, and now we're going to come back and kind of talk through the next two sessions. We'll talk about when you get results and some of the things that you can do to make corrective actions. Thanks for watching Doc Talk. More after these messages.
When looking at the number of farm and ranch operations, the USDA Census of Agriculture says cattle and beef production is the largest single segment of American agriculture. The census also says the average age of the American cattle farmer or rancher is in the late 50s. In order to support the continuous supply of U.S. beef, these producers need to do some business planning to successfully transfer their cattle operations to younger, independent producers.
My name is Sam Hands. I'm part of the operation here south of Garden City, Kansas, known as Triangle H. Our operation starts with an irrigated farming operation and also involves cow-calf as well as farm feedlot. So obviously the beef industry is very important to us as a marketing tool of those products grown on our irrigated farm. I feel especially privileged not only to be a part of the beef industry, but to have had the opportunity to be one of the original 6 delegates from the state of Kansas as the beef checkoff system was established back in 1986. And as I reminisce back at that times back there in the early meetings in the mid-80s and early 90s, to me it was very humbling and gratifying to see all segments of the industry come together with a common goal, and that was to advance the sustainability of the beef industry and by way of a product that was going to bring satisfaction to our consumer.
Hi, I'm Marissa Kleistuper, and ever since I was a little girl, I have always known that I wanted to grow up and work alongside my dad. He has been my hero since I can remember, and got the opportunity to come back home and work alongside my dad on a daily basis and learn from him and watch the family operation continue to grow. And the other best part of my day is my 2 boys get to come alongside and work with us and learn from my dad as well.
But more than anything, as I look at this whole program, is what it's allowed us to do as a sustainable program in the beef industry and has allowed us to bring future generations into the operation in order that the beef industry might be sustainable for the future. My pride and my pleasure to have my daughter and her children to be part of our company here as Triangle H. Thank you.
When you're in the cattle business, no matter how much it's a business, it still starts with cattle. It's this basic notion that sits at the core of how we approach things at Beringer Ingelheim. We understand when you put the cattle first, it just naturally leads to doing the right things. If you want to do well in this business, you start by doing right. Take care of the cattle, and they'll take care of you.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thompson here with Dr. Steve Ensley. We're at Kansas State University's College of Veterinary Medicine, where Dr. Ensley is a toxicologist, seeing lots of cases, and we're talking about liver biopsies. So what are some of the more common problems that you're seeing with nutrition and this year, or in the cases that you've been dealing with?
So this year we have had issues with weak calf syndrome again. So we see calves that are born full term, but they don't, are not strong enough to get up and nurse, or they may nurse but don't survive over 4 or 5 days and die. And so some of those are infectious causes, but we also want to investigate where the nutrition is involved. So we look at on a calf or a newborn that dies, we'll have a bigger piece of liver. We don't have to do a liver biopsy to get that, but the liver from that calf will tell us what the nutritional status of the cow is, because the cow passes all the vitamins and minerals across the placenta in the last 30 days into that calf. So everything but vitamin A. Vitamin A has to be ingested in the colostrum. They don't pass vitamin A. So if we have a calf that did not nurse, then we can measure vitamin A, but it's not as accurate. We'll go back to the dam and see what her status is if we think vitamin A is an issue. But so we can look at the liver on the calf, and that will tell us if the calf is low, then we know the cow had to be very low, because they're going to use whatever vitamins and minerals they have. All cows will try to go across the placenta and transfer all their vitamins and minerals to that calf. So
what have been some of the more common mineral deficiencies associated with it?
Well, one of the issues, vitamin A is one thing we're seeing very commonly. There was a fire in Germany at a BASF plant last October, and so vitamin A availability for feed use is very limited. It's very expensive now, and so I think some of the vitamin A deficiency issues that we're seeing may be related to that. It's also if you have drought issues, or you don't have access to bright green forage, and all the green forages have beta carotene, and if a cow has enough access to good green grass, she can make all the vitamin A they need. But when we have drought situations, or if they have, we may go to grass in May and have good grass, but by September and October the grass may be dry, we may have drought, and so if they aren't supplemented with vitamin A, the beta carotene concentration will be low in the fall. So going into wintertime, we just don't have the availability there. So taking the liver samples will tell us, we can look at these minerals, or use livers from calves that die and see what the vitamin A status, or E, and so we know what to supplement. Then we can try to get the cow herd back to a normal status using. Sometimes injectable drugs are the best, or injectable vitamins or injectable minerals are the best way, because we find when there's a lot of oral interferences, sometimes in the feed, it can take 30 days to get there. Well, if we can use an injection, we can do that within 48 hours.
We've seen some of that with vitamin A this year, that we could give the vitamin A injection, and then the storage in the liver is so long that if we can get their stores built up, they can last quite a while. And it seems like the injectable's available, but the
oral vitamin A, I feel like we test some of the feeds to look and see, but I'm just afraid with all species need vitamin A, so there's we're competing with a lot of other species for vitamin A. availability. So I think that's been one of the issues we've seen so far this year.
You bet. All right, folks, going to take a break. We're here with Dr. Steve Ensley. More after these messages.
When it comes to stopping hornflies, cattlemen love their vet gun. Today they love it even more because Vet Gun now has a 1-2 punch with 2 VetCap insecticides. New AIM-A abamectin can be used in rotation with AIM-L for effective in-season control. Each delivers a unique mode of action to manage hornfly resistance. So start your in-season rotation program with AIM-L and new AIM-A abamectin VetCaps from AgriLabs.
Some call it a come-from-behind victory, an unlikely win, a reversal of fortune, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat. This is our moment, our victory dance, because we choose confidence. We choose Zuprevo for BRD treatment. Ask your veterinarian to prescribe Zuprevo. Zuprevo is a fast-acting, long-lasting BRD treatment that you can count on to get the job done. Choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo from Merck Animal Health.
Do your cattle struggle with pink eye, BRD, or another disease? Contact Newport Laboratories for a customized solution. Our custom-made vaccines are produced using the specific diseases found in your area. These USDA licensed vaccines offer potential cost savings on vaccine and labor. Contact your veterinarian or Newport Laboratories the next time your cattle are in need of a custom solution. Newport Laboratories custom-made vaccine, because every situation is different.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thompson here with Dr. Steve Ensley. We're at Kansas State University's College of Veterinary Medicine, where Dr. Ensley is basically starting a new service.
Right.
And it's something that we're awfully proud to be able to provide this for producers and for veterinarians. And this is the guy that's going to be running it. And talk to us a little bit, because we need samples to come this way.
So Kansas State's, I graduated, I'm a K-State graduate. When I graduated, we didn't do analytical work in toxicology here. And now we've got a really high functioning lab. We've got really good chemists. We've got really good equipment, great lab facilities. So we're going to be doing analytical toxicology at Kansas State. So there's, if you have a need for any analysis that we couldn't do before, a lot of those we'll be able to do now in-house, and don't have to send those out, so we can do those in a timely manner. And I like to have the analysis, be done in my lab, so I know the results are going to be, going to be correct. And so that's I have some concern when we have to send things out. I don't have control over other labs, but now that we have them in-house, I feel like we're gonna turn out a result that I feel confident with.
Well, I mean, you've been involved with the QA and QC of these types of analytical. You understand the importance. The thing that has always impressed me about working with you, and we've worked together for quite a few years, is that you have a practical understanding of production in the beef industry, swine, dairy. You've been a practicing veterinarian in rural community, so you understand what the practitioner's going through, but then you also have the analytical capability and that you can really tie the whole picture and help people out with these cases.
Right. My dad was a veterinarian. I grew up on in a small town in Kansas and worked for my dad, practiced with him, then went back to school at Iowa State and got a master's and a PhD in toxicology. So it's been a real interest of mine, through my whole career. And now I get to come back to Kansas State and help, develop this lab. So it's very exciting for me.
Well, it's exciting for us. It's exciting for the industry, because now we have a go-to analytical toxicology lab that's going to really provide some service for whether it's your cow herd, your feedlot, your dairy, swine operation, whatever. send them here.
Right. We feel like we are the CSI of the animal world, so we can figure it out.
Yep, and if they say that Dr. Dan said to send them in, they get charged double, right?
Right.
Yeah, so
We'll
don't
give
do
you
that.
the same discount.
Same discount. Anyway, well, thanks for being here. Welcome home, and thanks for being on Doc
You
Talk.
bet. Thanks a lot.
Folks, thanks for watching Doc Talk today. Remember, if you want to learn more about what we do here at Doc Talk, you can find us on the web at www.doctalktv.com. Remember to always work with your local veterinarian. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson here with Dr. Steve Ensley from Kansas State University, and we'll see you down the road.
Closed captioning brought to you by Vet Gun with Amel and new AMA Abamectin Vet Caps, the 1-2 punch against hornfly resistance from AgriLabs.
For more information about this program or previous programs, go to doctalktv.com.
Doc Talk was brought to you by Merck Animal Health, the science of healthier animals.